Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm Martin Salo, the co-founder of RealEyes and the Chief Product Officer, and I'm here to talk about how to build remarkable experiences with emotion AI. So first, a little bit of context. All right, let's do it differently. So when we look at the annual worldwide spend on the time that people spend on mobile, it's growing fast, and the spend, the money that consumers spend on mobile is also growing very quickly. But the challenge is that a lot of this revenue is actually captured by the major apps and games out there, right? So when we look at the distribution, then in the game category, 80% of the downloads generate more than half of the time spent and more than 76% of the revenue. And so what do these top apps and games do differently? So, well, as 95% of our decisions are subconscious, then they really simply build experiences that engage people. They create the emotions, and then they keep their attention in a way that really makes them feel good and spend more time there. So how could you do the same? Well, we have built technology that is able to measure if you're paying attention, if you are happy, or if you're frustrated or confused. And you can get this measurement on any sort of website or game or Facebook or Instagram, whatever you're doing, and capture that in a previously safe way in the wild, right? People, you can be walking on the street or watching a show at night or something like that. We are able to then measure the experiences as you can see here. This is, of course, a demo app, and it does not kind of record anything. It all happens and runs on the device. Okay, so what do I do with this data, right? I mean, first, some context. So, here's a classical targeting profile, perhaps, right? So, two people born the same year, married twice. They all look the same, right? But in reality, they are not. One is the Royal Prince Charles, and the other is the rock star Ozzy Osbourne, right? Same sort of profile, right? But they're different people. So how does this apply on mobile apps, right? So why do you need attention and emotion data? Well, if you imagine a user journey, they could be similar, right? The same number of steps, then the same number of time spent on every step. And one of them will never use and open the app again, and the other will share it to 10 of their friends. So what's the difference, right? You cannot get it from traditional data. But if you actually have attention data, you can see that in one of the cases, basically the onboarding failed. They didn't pay attention. They were a little bit confused. And when they were then experiencing the app, they weren't really kind of engaging in the same way, whereas the other person was really, paying attention throughout the onboarding, and then was enjoying the experience and was really happy about the result. And so we have the same thing, right? There are differences, and you need good signals to work with to really build better engagement and more enjoyable experiences. And so, no matter the amount of data, if it's the wrong data, then it won't help you. And the outcome data alone that you might be optimizing against doesn't really tell you why that experience and why something happened. And even if you do run all the experiments and build fantastic creatives, you do need ideas to go on, right? What is working, what is not, how do you build something better? And so coming up with these experiments, you need input to that, right? And so what can you then do with emotion AI, and why is it relevant? Well, one of the practical use cases is about acquiring users, right? So 95% of creative fails, right? And customer acquisition costs have been going up. So what do, right? I mean, for your marketing to work, people need to pay attention And to build a brand that people remember, you need to move the audience emotionally. And so we can actually tell you which audiences, which creatives work best, what sort of moments in the marketing journey are working. Are they more attentive and engaged in the morning or in the evening? And with this, you can pick the winning creatives. You can make sure that you're running those creatives the right moments when people are really paying attention and when you have a chance to actually move them emotionally. And so the other use case that you can, and when you're making sure that you're running with the winning creative, and actually not just the creative itself, but you can really pinpoint the particular moments in the creative that work, right? Like this was the character that worked, this one didn't, and so on. So this gives you extra information to really drive your whole creative strategy and get ideas and what to experiment and what tests to run, and then when applied systematically, you can actually lower your customer acquisition costs, and you can get better return on ad spend and better effective cost per mil. So the next way to use this, a practical application, is really about measuring the experience of the app itself, right? This is pretty critical because the subscription revenue category is growing, right? 55% in the last 3 years, and this means that for someone to subscribe and not churn, you need to really engage them over time, right? So you need to be better at engaging the user on a continuous basis. And again, the competition at the top is tough, right? 80% of the downloads are generating 76% of the whole consumer spend on in the gaming category. And to break through with the top experiences, you really need to understand what's really working, right? Are people focused when they're doing something, or are they distracted? What are the, or are they happy, or are they frustrated? And so what are these specific moments or features or events that are happening that are generating focus or are generating distraction, right? So like after I won an award in an app, am I more attentive or less? Am I happier? Am I more frustrated? Or I'm doing some checkout and I'm just tapping around, and do I get frustrated because something's not working or it's not going according to my expectations? Having this sort of input allows you to really pinpoint what is working and what is not, and really understand how to improve the whole overall experience, right? And with this sort of data, it's not broken into individual events, right? It's about understanding the whole experience, right? If you're spending an hour with the app, we have a reading of attention, happiness, frustration, second by second throughout the whole experience. And so you can understand how people transition from one state to another, and which of these transitions create more happiness, which ones create more frustration. So it's kind of getting the whole picture of what's going on and getting a more in-depth usage. And if you have access to this sort of data, of course, you can get an edge over the competition and be one of those top apps that actually generate the revenue. And having this sort of data also allows you to narrow down what's working and what isn't much faster than perhaps running experiments for weeks. And also, of course, give you new ideas on how to run the correct experiments. Now, the last bit of how you can apply this is all about marketing, right? So when we look at the global mobile ad spend, that's set to grow 26% next year, right? Ads are huge. They're growing because many CPG brands are coming in to buy this as well. It's not just about performance and direct response, it's also about brand building, right? And so in brand building, the CPG companies, you cannot put a pixel or a tracker on a chocolate bar, for example, right? So you want to be able to measure the effectiveness of the campaign. Viewability and brand lifts are not really working for major advertisers. So what's the alternative, right? So having attention and emotion impact data on the advertisements allows you to then capture the revenue from brand advertisers and make sure that you are tapping into the global increase in mobile ad spend. And yes, so if you're having this sort of innovative measurement data allows you to basically differentiate from others and make sure it runs. So what I want to ask you is to tap into Emotion AI, do amazing marketing that really moves people, create effortless and enjoyable experiences that people really love, and join our mission to create 1 trillion more smiles in the world. Thank you.